Hello, I'm Caroline Parker. I have worked with Red Earth Theatre as an actress, a song signer, a song director for various different productions. Over the last 20 years, I've seen a lot of changes in theatre by the inclusivity of deaf performers. In the early days, there would just be one deaf actress or actor in a show, and with most recent productions, there's usually been more than one deaf actor and more than one person, whether deaf or hearing, signing in the show. There still needs to be more deaf people working in theatre, and specifically in the variety of theatres out there. It's still the one or two theatres or a lot of the various scales of theatre. But the big theatres, the main theatres who receive productions, the West End theatres, there's still not enough of inclusivity of deaf creatives, deaf performers, deaf directors, deaf writers, deaf producers, deaf stage managers. There's still a very few of us working in the industry, and I think there needs to be more generically all through the various theatres. As a deaf person going to the theatre, there are some productions that will have a sign language interpreter at the side of the stage, and they do one or two performances. I would prefer them to be on stage with the actors. Then I'm not sitting in the doorway looking at the access, which is functional in one area, and then looking at the stage where the creativity is, and it's very separated. So it would be nice if the two were included together. It's like watching tennis and you're not sure who said what and how and why. So it would be lovely if there was more integrated sign language and captioning on the set. At least this is what Red Earth aimed to do and succeeded in it, if I may say so. The focus on shows performed to children is still lacking. There is a definite need for more theatres to be accessible to the young deaf children that you get going to the theatre. And there's always a few, for whatever reason. You'd have to ask the companies this. I don't know why. Red Earth, very early on in their work, included creative captioning in the shows. And this was well received because it's not just deaf people that need captioning. Neurodiverse people who go to see shows need them as well. Now, some of the theatres have taken on board in inclusive and creative captioning. And I think this is still an area that we're just barely scratching the surface on. how creative can we be with the digital arts? Well, some theatre companies alongside Red Earth are exploring this and bringing in some digital artists to make the captioning much more creative than just functional. There are some deaf digital artists who understand the needs of deaf audiences, and they are very busy supplying captions to fab shows. So I look forward to seeing more of that in the future. In working with Red Earth Theatre, I have performed songs in sign language, and I have also directed sign songs in various productions. It's very different for me just to sign a song in a production because it's my translation and it's my expression of the song. But when I'm working with a group of actors and creating sign songs with them, I think there is more sense of play when you've got various people who can take on the characters of the songs and express the songs. Also, I like to try and draw the song from them. If you give a number of people the same songs and ask them to translate it, they will all come back with a different version, and that's quite exciting as a sign song translator to see their translations and how we can incorporate the ideas together and choreograph their signing to fit in with each other and express the song in a much more interesting way, I think. Now, tips for other theatre companies who wish to have inclusivity in the show. When you pick your play that you want to do, decide there and then if you want the show to be expressed creatively in sign language and with captions. It must be pre-first production meeting that you know you want to do this. It's because it's very difficult to add on in creative ways any access, and you need to know in advance what you want and how to get it. Always have more than one person in a production signing, because if you just bring in one deaf actor who can sign, why is that actor signing? To whom are they signing to? To the other characters? Or are they a narrator to the audience? It has to make sense for that one person to be signing. Also, if you have captions as well, how creative are they going to be? Are they going to be for every show? You spend all that money to put the captions together and then only use it for 1 or 2 shows, and you spent all that money. You might as well use them for every show, I say. Yes. If you want to do a production with sign language, please use a deaf sign language consultant, because they, as deaf people, will know how to communicate your ideas, your stories with sign language. I think there's something about being a knowing deaf viewer that knows what a deaf person needs. Do not assume that a hearing person would know. So there you have it. some suggestions, some ideas, some of the ways of working with deaf people, whether they're actors or writers or sign song choreographers. I think the best thing to do if you want to make a show accessible to deaf audiences is to work with deaf people in the creative industry. If you do this, good luck. Thank you.